The Manhattan skyline glitters in the evening light, a proof to wealth and power concentrated in a single island. Among the luxury buildings of the Upper East Side stands a particularly notable mansion worth $77 million, just steps from Museum Mile. This is, or rather was, the home of Jeffrey Epstein, a man whose financial empire remained as mysterious as the activities that eventually led to his downfall. The mansion's ornate door bears a simple inscription, J.E. These two letters mark the entrance to one of New York's most notorious addresses, a symbol of how wealth can both display itself prominently, yet conceal its origins behind closed doors. What makes Epstein's case so unusual isn't just the criminal allegations that eventually surfaced. It's that in an industry where success is typically measured, tracked, and very public, his wealth seemed to materialize from nowhere. Financial experts and Wall Street insiders have repeatedly failed to explain the source of his fortune. He started as an options trader at Bear Stearns in the 1970s, a respectable position, but not one that typically leads to billions. Then he supposedly became a money manager for the ultra-wealthy. Yet even the most thorough financial journalists couldn't trace the actual source of his fortune. This question continued to baffle Wall Street. How did Jeffrey Epstein make his money? And perhaps more importantly, who were the mysterious associates behind his rise? When someone accumulates vast wealth without a clear source, there are typically three possibilities: inheritance, criminal activity, or powerful backers who prefer to remain anonymous. Epstein didn't inherit his fortune. So that leaves us with the other two options. Epstein maintained luxurious properties around the world. From Palm Beach to Paris, Manhattan, to his private Caribbean island, each property represented not just a home, but a question. Who was really funding this lavish lifestyle? Throughout history, we've seen powerful figures use frontmen to conduct business they'd rather not have associated with their names, whether for tax purposes, to hide conflicts of interest, or for more nefarious reasons. What's remarkable about Epstein is that despite his high profile among certain circles, his financial dealings remained exceptionally opaque. When Epstein appeared in court in 2019, observers noted how haggard he looked, a stark contrast to the polished, confident figure who had moved through elite social circles for decades. The world got a glimpse of a man who had long operated in the shadows of wealth and influence, but the financial web connecting him to some of the world's most powerful people remained largely unexplored. Perhaps the most telling relationship in understanding Epstein's wealth is his connection to Les Wexner, the billionaire behind Victoria's Secret's parent company. For years, Wexner was Epstein's only known client, a billionaire apparently entrusting his entire fortune to a relatively unknown financial manager. This arrangement defied conventional financial logic. Even more puzzling, Wexner transferred his Manhattan mansion to Epstein for a nominal sum, a transaction that raised eyebrows among financial and legal experts alike. As public outrage grew following Epstein's arrest, attention turned not just to Epstein himself, but to those who may have enabled him, both financially and legally. The 2008 plea deal negotiated by then-prosecutor Alexander Acosta remains one of the most controversial aspects of this case. A multimillionaire with serious allegations against him received what many consider a token punishment, raising questions about whether Epstein's wealth and connections had influenced the justice system. This preferential treatment is not common for defendants without wealth or connections. Ordinary citizens facing similar charges would likely have faced much more severe consequences. The disparity hints at a system where money doesn't just buy luxury, it buys protection. Tracing Epstein's wealth is exceptionally difficult, as it was likely scattered across offshore accounts, shell companies, and associates' names. Investigators face the challenge of tracking funds that may have never officially belonged to him, creating a deliberately obscure financial maze. A crucial unanswered question remains: was Epstein truly a billionaire managing his own wealth, or was he managing and leveraging others' money? If so, who were his actual employers? Epstein's social circle included Wall Street elites, royalty, tech moguls, and academics. Were these merely social connections or business relationships that fueled his mysterious fortune? The Southern District of New York's investigation extended beyond criminal charges to examine the financial network supporting Epstein. Despite his death, this network persists, with continuing impacts across finance, politics, and society. Little St. James, Epstein's private Caribbean island, became a symbol of the excesses his wealth afforded him. Nicknamed Pedophile Island by locals, it represented not just luxury, but isolation, a place where the ultra-wealthy could potentially operate beyond the reach of ordinary laws and scrutiny. It also embodied a troubling question. How many other wealthy and powerful figures were connected to Epstein's financial empire and the activities that took place on his properties? The Epstein case demonstrates the dark side of financial secrecy. When wealth can be accumulated and transferred with minimal transparency, it creates an environment where money can potentially fuel and protect illicit activities. The system of offshore accounts, private banking, and financial anonymity that serves legitimate privacy concerns can also be weaponized to hide illegitimate enterprise. Wall Street insiders have long whispered about the inconsistencies in Epstein's financial story. His trading strategies didn't make sense to experienced financial professionals. His client list was virtually non-existent, with only Wexner publicly acknowledged. Yet he maintained the mansion, the island, the private jet nicknamed the Lolita Express, and an enviable art collection. In finance, there's a saying, if you don't understand where the money comes from, you probably don't want to know. What many people miss in this whole saga is that Epstein's financial operations and his criminal activities weren't separate issues. They were interconnected. The money provided both the means and the protection for his other activities. Which is why understanding who was behind his fortune isn't just about financial curiosity, it's about justice for his victims. In the aftermath of Epstein's case, federal prosecutors promised to pursue those who may have been complicit in his activities. But the question remains, will they follow the money to its source? Will they uncover the full network of financial backers and beneficiaries that may have enabled his lifestyle? Financial sleuth. Tom Metcalf's inability to trace Epstein's wealth to legitimate sources speaks volumes. This absence of evidence suggests either the fortune was exaggerated or deliberately hidden through sophisticated means. Outside New York's courthouse, protesters demanded accountability not just for Epstein, but for his entire enabling network. Women carrying his image reminded the world of the human suffering behind these financial machinations. Epstein's influence extended far beyond finance. He cultivated relationships with scientists and academics, donating to prestigious institutions like Harvard. This philanthropy served dual purposes, buying legitimacy while obscuring questions about his money's origins. These strategic donations opened doors that might otherwise have remained closed to someone with his background. His infamous private jet created a mobile network of influence spanning continents. The aircraft's flight logs remain crucial evidence, documenting rare connections between Epstein and powerful figures potentially involved in his broader operations. Epstein's case exposes troubling gaps in our financial system. How could someone amass such wealth without a transparent business model? What responsibilities do financial institutions have to flag suspicious activities, even among elite clients? The case raises fundamental questions about accountability in high finance. For investigators, the challenge extends beyond following money trails to determining where those trails have been deliberately erased. Financial criminals routinely obscure fund origins through seemingly legitimate transactions. Was Epstein such a criminal himself, or merely fronting for others? His haggard courtroom appearance contrasted sharply with his typically polished image, suggesting mounting pressure as scrutiny intensified. The carefully crafted facade began crumbling, revealing glimpses of reality beneath the veneer of success. Epstein's story reveals shadow networks operating behind legitimate facades in a city defined by wealth and power. His fortune remains one of modern finance's most disturbing mysteries, with a network of associates whose Epstein connections may never fully emerge. This story continues unfolding. As investigations proceed and more documents surface, we may approach the truth about his wealth and activities. Yet complete transparency may remain elusive, protected by the same financial secrecy systems that enabled it initially. The J.E. inscribed on his mansion door symbolizes both Jeffrey Epstein and the justice evaded in a case exposing the dark intersection of wealth, power, and impunity.